Robservations with Robert, Meyer, Burnett.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, and your sommelier of sci-fi and cinema, Robert Meyer Burnett. And it's time for episode 4 of The Midnighter. Unfortunately, I updated both my operating system and my Wirecast software that I'm streaming to you from right now. And I'd forgotten. You know, whenever they do these updates, everything changes. I don't know why, but everything does. So I was scrambling at the last minute to get this show on the air. But I've made it. I figured tonight I would talk to you a little bit about, well, everyone's buzzing about the Eternals trailer. A lot of people, boy, just are dismissing it outright. I don't know how you can do that when you have an Academy Award-winning director and the cast that they've put together for you and a movie that looks at least visually sumptuous. I'm, for one, looking very forward to it. As you know, I was showing my Eternals wares, my Neil Gaiman graphic novel, and of course my Jack Kirby omnibus. They came out with a new Eternals omnibus that I have yet to pick up, but I'm going to. But on that same note, there's an article I want to share with you that dropped earlier today. And this dropped in the afternoon while I was streaming on Robservations, so I didn't see it until later. Written by Dade Hayes, and Disney's CEO Bob Chapek talks Black Widow release strategy, the state of Windows. We're really celebrating that flexibility. Now, I'm very interested in how the business of theatrical distribution is going to recover. Are they just going to snap back and expect everything to be hunky-dory? Or is it going to be a slower process? It's going to be very interesting to see how it works. I mean, as you know, I went and saw the first movie I'd seen in 15 months. I went and saw Army of the Dead last weekend. And not this past weekend, but the weekend before, the weekend of the 15th, actually on my birthday. And, it was very interesting seeing how social distancing is still working. And they're very serious about it. I did feel safe in the theater. I felt that they were paying attention, and the professionalism on display by the people that worked at the theater was good. So I felt good about it, but it was still strange. And I'm like, with movie theaters half full with social distancing, is the box office going to come back? Because these theaters, they're, as we've talked about, movies are worth a lot more when they have a decent theatrical run, and a lot of these tentpole properties, the studios are relying on. Luckily, Fast 9 was released foreign markets such as Russia, China, South Korea, and it made a very robust $165 million over its opening weekend in, I think, 8 or 9 territories, which bodes well for the theater. So that's fantastic. So I want to share this article, and then we'll get to you, the fans, the watchers, you imagination connoisseurs, you members of this, the Post-Geek Singularity community. This show is about you. So if you have a decent microphone and you have a decent camera, fire it up, get it ready, because I will later on the show drop a link. Now, I would once again ask, if you have not been on this show before, maybe hang back. If you have been on the show before, hang back and allow some new people to jump on so we can meet more of you. Which would be great. Disney's CEO Bob Chapek said the company made the right call by planning to release Black Widow in theaters this summer at the same time it hits Disney Plus as a premier access title. One of the things we learned is that flexibility is good, he said of the coronavirus pandemic. We're really celebrating that flexibility. We're trying to offer consumers more choice. Marvel's Black Widow is slated to debut July 9th in theaters and for a $30 premium for Disney Plus subscribers. The Premier Access option has been used for Mulan last year and Raya and the Last Dragon in March. Chapek made the comments during a virtual appearance at J.P. Morgan's 49th Annual Global Technology, Media, and Communications Conference. Asked about the company's gauge on box office, he said it remains fairly weak in the U.S., but has shown strength in a few international markets. We're seeing some hesitancy to return by some moviegoers, he said. About 2/3 of North American theaters are back open, though that number is climbing as major releases line up for their summer turns. Chapek referred to the current moment as an interim period in terms of how theatrical fits into the larger revenue strategy, though he reiterated past comments about the importance of theatrical to Disney. Since absorbing most of 21st Century Fox in 2019, the company's movie studios control about half the U.S. box office, but have obviously not been at full stride yet for an extended period. Initial adjustments to the Fox pipeline were accompanied by the once-a-century impact of the pandemic. JP Morgan analyst Alexi Quadrani moderated the 40-minute session, which oddly did not touch on AT&T's merger deal for Warner Media and Discovery. She did ask Chapek about how the company determines the release strategy to deploy on a given film. There are multiple kinds of rollouts now. The day-and-date tack with Black Widow, the streaming-only option used for Hamilton and Soul last year, and this summer with Pixar's Luca, and the 45-day exclusive theatrical window. I got to say, the people at Pixar cannot be happy about both Luca and Soul going direct to streaming. There's a whole bunch of data points we have to assimilate to make those decisions, Chapek said. The first consideration is it a big tent theatrical franchise? If it is something like a Marvel movie or a Lucas movie, something that's going to have legs, it plays into a larger mythology. Well, Bob, when has Pixar not played into that larger strategy? Come on, bruh. I mean, Pixar has been a foundational supplier of incredible blockbuster movies for you for the last 25 years. It seems odd that suddenly they would be relegated to streaming only. He added, "We've already delayed Black Widow a couple of times. We didn't want to delay it again, yet at the same time, we always knew there was a risk that exhibition wasn't going to be fully developed or consumers wouldn't want to go back and sit in theaters. So we realized we had to sort of prime the pump and give theatrical exhibition a chance. We couldn't put all of our eggs in the theatrical exhibition basket because we knew that in the weeks leading up to the decision that the domestic market was not coming back, and it's still fairly weak. So we're very confident that we made the right call there." Chapek defied the tasking about taking film straight to streaming in general. The entire point of the company's restructuring last fall, he noted, is to make sure that every platform has its own content, and enough of it, separate from COVID or the state of theaters. Luca is going to Disney Plus next month is an example of that broader strategic mission. The idea is to ensure that all channels have a full complement of offerings to keep everybody happy, but nowhere is that more the case than for Disney Plus, he said. So flat out, Bob Chapek is saying that obviously Disney Plus is the cornerstone of their strategy moving forward. And, I mean, it sounds to me like he's pulling back from theatrical, using the excuse that, well, theaters aren't fully back. But then you look at something like Godzilla vs. Kong making over $400 million. I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad. And that was day and date with Warner Brothers. So I would expect, or with HBO Max, pardon me. Oh, that's a little late. But I'm surprised that, he's beating Disney Plus. And I can't imagine, again, the people at Pixar are happy about their movies going direct to streaming. Pixar movies are big screen experiences. And, but here he goes on to say, Soul delivered a huge boost to Disney Plus, Chapek said, though he did not quantify it. Disney Plus had 103.6 million global subscribers as of April 3rd, the company has reported. As the company continues to constantly evaluate the pandemic box office conundrum, agreeing with exhibitors to a reduced 45-day window this fall for Shang-Chi and Free Guy, we know the marketplace will recover more fully and that type of exclusive distribution will make more sense, he said. Flexibility is a good thing. At some point, though, you kind of got to step, like I like to say, off the dock and into the boat. Those we will take a shot at. As to the outlook on windows and revised splits with theater owners, Chapek said Disney is planning to take its time developing longer-term plans. The consumer is driving the shorter windows, he said. If you have a movie that plays for 4 weeks or 6 weeks in theaters, there's not a lot of reason to sit on it for the next 6 to 7 months. The consumer has realized that they've got the power and can essentially make those calls. We're a consumer-friendly company and will follow their lead. See, now again, got to go which way the consumer is pointing. Well, I think consumers want both things, but how do you know that consumers aren't going to go back to the movie theaters, Bob? Asked about whether a significant number of moviegoers might be inclined to wait until the 46th day, meaning the day a new film migrates from theaters to streaming, Chapek didn't seem concerned. 46 days, 6 weeks, that's a long time to wait, he said. If you're a Black Widow fan, you're not going to wait that amount of time. The performance of Disney Plus has been helpful in terms of setting theatrical strategy, Chapek said. When we release a new piece of content, people are lined up at midnight to watch it as soon as it goes live on the streaming service, he said. I don't think people have that much patience. Well, the one thing that I take away from this article is that Disney's strategy, they obviously, we've been talking about that Disney Plus is where they want their business model to go. And I can understand that. Soup to nuts, they control everything. They don't have to send out DCPs to theaters. They don't have to do anything. But one of the things that I learned when I was at CinemaCon, not last year in 2020, but in 2019 when John Campy and I went to CinemaCon is basically a big convention for theater owners to meet exhibitors, theater owners, exhibitors to meet distributors. All the studios show up. Some of the mini majors show up, like Lionsgate. They show their trailers. They roll out their stars. They do all kinds of things to promote their next year's films. But one of the things I learned when I was there, I talked to a lot of independent theater owners that are spread out. We only think of like the big cities because that's where a lot of box office is generated. But a lot of films have a longer life in smaller towns, rural areas. And I met a lot of really great independent theater owners, operators that throughout the United States that were also at CinemaCon. And I wonder, how is this going to impact their business? Essentially, with a 45-day window, so movies are they're only going to play for 45 days in theaters, which is 6 weeks, and then they move directly to streaming. What does that do to the independent theater owners? I don't really know, but I know it can't be great for them because sometimes, they get things on second run or something like that, and meaning that once a movie has left all the big theaters, they'll go to independent theaters and serve those audiences. And it would be a shame, it would be a damn shame, if the independent theater operators are not being taken into consideration. And I really hope, that they would be. So, we'll see. I don't know how that's going to all work, but let's hope it does, because, man, it would be unfortunate if indie theater owners were somehow left out in the cold. So, a bummer there. Now, I believe that I have some Midnighter letters, and let's get to those. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to navigate the discombobulation here. So, we will see. Let's see here. Whenever you change this is crazy. Nothing is the way I left it, which is unfortunate. No, I guess I don't have any letters. I guess I read them all. I have no new letters for the Midnighter today. We didn't get letters today for some reason, but that's okay. So you know what I'm just going to do? I'm just going to drop in. I'm going to drop in those links, and I'm going to bring you on the show to see what you have to say. So once again, I would ask that if you haven't been on the show before, I'd like to hear from you. If you have, if I could ask you to lean back and wait, and we'll see who is going to come on tonight's show. I've sent the link out, and once again, I'm going to have to do a little quick editorial in here because, boy, everything is not the way I certainly left it. So if you want to come on this show, you can. And I'm just waiting to see who does. Which one of you is going to join me tonight on The Midnighter? And, well, so far no one. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be a fascinating show. I have to say, over the weekend, on Midnight Metal, we had a great show. We had Brett Pierce, the director of The Wretched, and we've come up with a new, it looks like we're going to try and crowdfund $6,666,000 to make 3 horror films. Yes, you heard me correctly. That is, in fact, correct. Look at that. Waiting for you guys. I don't know if anyone's coming in, but we'll see if anybody does. I don't know. Just leave me alone or not. Let's see. Pappas. Oh, actually, I should save that. Who's here? Let's see. S has joined the party. Well, hello there, sir. Can you hear me? You can't hear me. You can't, but you know what? You can hear me now. Can you hear me now, sir? Mr. Beam is here. Are you ready to join me for the Midnighter? All right. Well, I will bring you on. Let's see. Let's add you to the stream. And let's see. I'm going to do that and bring you on. And someone else, I believe someone else is here too. Yes, we have 2 guests coming on. We have Catherine as well. Catherine and S. Beam are here. So let me bear with me for a minute while I put you both in, Coach. So we've got S. Beam coming in, and we have Catherine coming in. Catherine, can you hear me? Good. Then you can hear me, and I can hear you. So let me put you in as well. If I had a producer producing the show, they could do this for me, but I don't. But one day, maybe I will. So, all right, Catherine, let me get you on, and I'm going to add you both to the show. Welcome to S. Beam and Catherine. Welcome to the Midnighter. Or just Midnighter. So tell me, the two of you, did you guys get back to the movie theaters this weekend?
I did. On Saturday, I went back to see Army of the Dead. It's the first time in 447 days that I've been to a movie theater.
Now, let me ask you this. What did you think of Army of the Dead?
I actually really liked it, especially considering it's a Netflix original, and I usually don't think much of those, but I thought it was really fun, a tad bit long, and a couple of the characters, like the helicopter pilot and the safecracker, kind of got on my nerves, but I really loved all the stuff with Zeus and this whole kingdom that he's lording over on Olympus. I kind of wish they leaned more into that, but I thought it was a really fun time.
Well, that's good. What about you, S. Beam? Did you either go to the movie theater or did you watch Army of the Dead on Netflix?
No, I work weekends, so I cut it on Netflix.
All right. Well, that's okay. You don't have to. I was, I feel that Army of the Dead is pretty divisive. People either love it or they don't like it. I was in the camp of I didn't enjoy it very much. But I have to tell you, there's a lot of wackiness that I didn't notice when I watched the film. I was watching a video, and it made me appreciate the movie a little more because, like, for instance, in the opening of the movie, when they're leaving a military installation, they're leaving Area 51, you actually see in the sky, there's like 2 unidentified flying objects that are in the sky, and they both zoom off when the trucks are leaving Area 51. I didn't notice that. Did you notice that, Catherine?
I didn't notice that.
I noticed that at first, but I wasn't sure because the camera didn't like zoom in on it to emphasize it. If that was that's supposed to be a shooting star, or a shooting star or a UFO? I wasn't exactly sure at first.
Well, when I watched a video that was showing that it shows that clearly these 2 balls of light are there hovering, and then they take off after the. So, and I'm like, okay, I was thinking that's kind of cool, but why hide it? Like, if it's alien technology or it's an alien incursion that caused both of these the zombie apocalypse or whatever, their Alpha, their Zeus, whatever happened there. I would like to have known that. Like, why hide that? I mean, I know they're already working on the prequel series and an animated series, but still, I would have liked to have heard more about that. What do you guys
I
think?
agree with that. I agree with that.
That might be why, because they might have already had, the prequel, because Zach supposedly has a whole idea of a series around this, so maybe he's wanted to leave that there as kind of an Easter egg for people while he wanted to tell this story first.
Now, what did you guys think about the intelligent zombies? I mean, you'd said, Catherine, that you liked that idea, of the. So I just it to me it's such a strange thing that I guess because I'm a zombie movie fan. Dawn of the Dead's one of my favorite movies, and the idea of zombies developing their own civilization. I mean, we first saw in Day of the Dead, the zombie Bub was developing a rudimentary intelligence, or just had retained a bit of intelligence before succumbing, or some way Bub was learning to use tools and things like that. But it just seems like, I don't know if it's because I like my zombies pure, but the idea of zombies developing intelligence or having awareness or even setting up some kind of civilization, which they kind of do, I don't know if I like that. What do you guys think?
Well, yeah, it was a bit jarring. I mean, the whole thing with Zeus becoming a father kind of thing. That threw me off. I was like, oh, is this even really a zombie movie? I was like, so that was a little confusing.
Well, one of the things about they mentioned how the baby, when it's revealed, it has like blue sparkly, perhaps energy pulsing inside of it, or used to have. So the insinuation is that there's some kind of extraterrestrial energy flowing through it. But I thought to myself, I'm like, I mean, then this turns into something else.
Right. Is that really zombies?
Is that really? Yeah, exactly. And also, I didn't understand if they're going in there and you've got the henchman of our overlord who's paying for this operation. If it turns out that he really just wants the head of one of these intelligent zombies, why didn't they just get the head right away and leave? As he said, he's already got the money, so why bother with the heist? Mm-hmm. I don't know. We lost Catherine. Catherine dropped out. I think Catherine might come back. Maybe she won't. I don't know. Oh, she's back. So what do you think, Catherine? What do you think about the zombie baby fatherhood? I mean, that means that these zombies are pretty high functioning if they're worried about their kids and their progeny. I mean,
yeah. I admit I didn't get the logic that, because Zeus was the first one and he's already intelligent, he's running this, but all of the other zombies that seems they're first being turned are not as intelligent. They call them the scramblers, I guess.
Right.
I don't know, maybe he'll go more into that in the other movies, but I kind of like that, because with most zombie movies I watch, I'm watching them and I'm thinking, I'd really love to play a zombie video game instead, because I always find the people in those movies more interesting, which is kind of the point. You're seeing how civilization is collapsing around them.
Right.
But I kind of like that he put a different spin on it, like something zombie genre.
No, I think so too. But I mean, the whole point to me of the Romero, I mean, all this comes from Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead. It's all Kirkman's The Walking Dead comes from that. I know Zack Snyder made fast zombies, running zombies a thing. 28 Days Later is more of there's a rage virus that created them, so they're not. But the whole point, I think, of zombies is that it's more of a commentary on society, and I guess you could turn it into something else, metaphorically. What are you saying? Like, it seems to me like if you're going to subvert the standard zombie formula, there should be a reason behind it. Like, what statement are you making? Are you then saying that these zombies are people too, and they deserve to be able to survive and live because they want to get all familial now and have children, and then they're just us, and then they're not zombies anymore? They're just lesser humans? And
he could be doing that to set the stage for where he's going with it,
That's true. That's true. But I mean, I think that also movies have to stand on their own. But a lot of people really liked it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in it I liked. I certainly had fun while I was watching it. I mean, there's a lot of mayhem, and I thought it was interesting. But I did feel like there was an element of, I think the weakest part was the script, because to me it felt like they were just making stuff up. I felt like when I was watching the movie, it was being made up as I was watching it. Like when suddenly there's a coyote that takes people into Las Vegas. And it's, well, you find out that, yeah, well, people need money. I take them in and they can go rob slot machines or whatever. Then we come back out so they can buy their way to freedom. I'm like, why is there a refugee camp that you can't leave? Like, you're in America and you're in a refugee camp on the outskirts of Las Vegas and you have to buy your way out? Like, why? You're in America. And I didn't understand that. Like, oh, we don't have enough money. We're gonna relocate to this other refugee camp. I'm like, what? You can't go live with your mom, or go to Aunt Bessie's house? Like, what were they? Is this some southern border thing? Like, what are you referencing? I just didn't understand how that all worked. Like, just get in a car and leave. Why can't you leave a refugee camp that's on the edge of the Las Vegas zombie zone? And I felt like, okay, then they have to add this coyote element, and she knows a lot more than she leads. Like, she doesn't tell anybody that, well, they're smart zombies and they demand a tribute, so we got to take one of your group. And like, wouldn't that be something that you should know before you go in? And why wouldn't she? I felt like, okay, well, she's just making shit up, and that was, I felt the movie let me down there in terms of the scripting, because they just added all this stuff that I seemed like, that's kind of important. Maybe you should tell people that the zombies expect a tribute before we go in.
Yeah, good information to have.
Wouldn't it be? So S, what did you think overall? Were you a fan?
Well, I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. And I mean, I'm glad I waited to watch it at home. I'll put it that way.
How, Catherine, how was the presentation when you saw it? Was it, I thought that our projector was not as bright as it could have been. Like, I'm a big stickler for presentation. Did you go to see it at a good theater? Could you not hear me? Maybe. Oh, it looks like she froze.
Did she freeze?
I think she might have frozen. That's always eerie when people's faces freeze on the screen and you can't, and you ask them. It's very creepy. But I guess we are talking about Army of the Dead. So S, you got any hot toys on order? You got anything coming in?
Well, I just saw on Big Chief's Facebook page that they just did a review for the Third Doctor, so hopefully I'll get that email pretty soon.
Oh, that's good. So far, I mean, I've got figures that are paid off, like Batman Beyond, Captain America. Who knows when that's going to show up? The Mark 85, maybe one day these things will show up. Maybe the quarter scale.
I got my 85.
Yeah, the quarter.
I'm waiting on Cap and Thor.
Yeah, I've got Thor. We lost Catherine again. But you're talking about Fat Thor, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's Kylo Ren, our friend Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren, can you hear me? Kylo Ren? Hey man, what's going on, dude? You're in. Well, hang on. Let me put you in. When Catherine dropped out, you popped in, so I'm going to add Mr.
I'm
Ren.
in Central Time too.
Mr. Ren is going to be added to the stream, so we'll bring you on and bring you into the show, Kylo. Welcome everyone to Kylo Ren. Yeah, your face, man. I don't know. Your scars move from one movie to another. It's kind of strange. I don't know how that works.
That's what everyone says, man. That's what everyone says. I just gotta go with it.
Yeah, I know. Hey, maybe something else happened to his face between movies. You don't know. We don't know. Now, are you going to get the new hot toy of Kylo Ren that just came out? By the way, S-Beam, you going to get that? The Kylo Ren and the Rey?
No, I didn't like those movies enough.
Bro, I don't know. How far displaced am I on the screen? Am I on there?
No, you're on. You should be able to see yourself.
All right. All right. Look, man, I am going full into this. Like, my TikTok is blowing up, so I'm going full uh, film into this. Like, you inspired me to create a small film during COVID. I feel like you inspire a lot of people, and I don't think you realize that. And I think it was incredibly great, or whatever. And
Well, we're gonna finally finish off the film festival for the 700th episode of Robservations.
Oh shoot!
It's only 5 months.
700?
It's only 5 months late. So
Yeah, but no, man. Look, man. You helped me get through the COVID because you gave me a sense of purpose. That's what I want to tell anyone in the audience that's listening. Rob gave me a sense of purpose, and I'm an actor as well. Been through a lot of classes and stuff like that, and he gave me something to do. And so thank you, man.
I thought your movie was pretty personal too.
It was very.
It was a real personal expression of you. As a matter of fact, if people want to see your movie, they can, and it is on the Robservations. It is on the Burnettwork YouTube page, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna call up. I'm gonna put the link. Let me get your movie, and I'm gonna put the link in the live chat so people can. Is that okay? Can I do that?
Yeah, it aired.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Shoot! I missed my own premiere.
Oh.
No, man. Like the Indiana film community around here is kind of unique, and we want to be known. But like, no, I had a lot of emotions because it was really reflective on my life. Because what I was painting is your worst enemy is yourself. It's oftentimes yourself. And sometimes I feel like you really met me when I came on, like the space-time continuum, right? Like with Inception and Interstellar. Like when you're looking at yourself like at a different point in time, like when I looking at your younger self, Rob, look at yourself at 20, look at yourself at 40, or like, what are you, like 50 or I don't know how old you are.
I'm 54.
Yeah, so
I'm fucking old.
No, you're not. But like, look, you have a baby face. So look, but listen, like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you look at yourself from different points in time, your perspective is different.
Right.
As you grow older, it changes, and like it was a very emotional film. And it was hard for me, for where the spot I'm in, to get people to commit to shoot stuff and then them to question my vision. I was like, look, dude, just wait till you see what I'm doing. I'm not satisfied as an artist, like whatever. I think you'll understand, but like, I'm not I think it could be done better. With the ending, I feel like at the ending scene, I feel like if I would have waited in the last scene, where if I would just cooked rather than seeing myself in that timeline flow to the door, it would have been much more powerful, like to make people forget. So I mean, it just like it was a passionate project for me, and like the scene. If you've seen, do you like Inception?
Dude, I loved Inception.
Okay, you remember the score by Hans Zimmer, Time? Time?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a remix out there. I know Campy likes Hans Zimmer. He listens to Man of Steel in the morning. So I think he'd appreciate this too. So, like, if you listen to Alan Walker and Hans Zimmer, they did a remix of the score Time, and it makes me rethink my life every day. So how I came up with the story, I'm not saying it's good because I don't have the budget or means, but listen, like I took walks because I wanted to be outside during COVID. We were all shoved inside during COVID, and I put my headphones on, and I would walk this path every day, and I would play the song on, and it just like with everything Hans Zimmer score, it makes everything exciting. But the thing is, Hans Zimmer score with Time and Alan Walker with the remix. Like if anyone in the audience knows Alan Walker, he's like new generation, right? So why it works so well is Hans Zimmer is old generation. You know, Alan Walker is new generation. So like people like to criticize and call out millennials and all that for not like, you know, creating innovative things, but like their collaboration was so powerful. It was like, you know, it wasn't purely like, it wasn't retro, but it wasn't like it wasn't no punk art, but like, you know, it was just a great collaboration. And when they met together, they did some type of music video. It just touched me and it inspired me to make this film. I mean, you inspired me to make this film because of your contest. But then when I heard this song walking to the gym every day because of COVID, it like, you know, it told me I was dealing with a lot of insecurities of my life. And I hope people see that through my film. Like, you know, yet we all have these alternate personalities of what we're going through and everything.
Sure.
But some people, yeah. Sorry, I you know, I'm going to rant or whatever. I don't
No. It's by the way, I'm looking at this and it says some of these movies have been removed from the playlist because they were deleted from YouTube. And I'm looking at this going, this is not, I didn't, this is weird. I don't understand. Like I don't know what the deal is about some of these things. You didn't report anything to YouTube, did you?
No.
I've got to figure out why this is because I'm missing some of my movies, which is good, but I'll figure that out tomorrow.
Yeah, you know what? I'll DM you this song that you need to listen to, and I feel like you will resonate with it. Like,
oh well, I mean, I love that. You know, Hans Zimmer. I discovered Hans Zimmer. He did a score for a movie in 1988 for a film called Paper House that was directed by Bernard Rose, who went on to direct Candyman. And that was the first time. Philip Glass did the music for Candyman, but when I heard the Paper House score, I loved it. I mean, I had heard, and then I started noticing Hans Zimmer more and more. Like he scored Ridley Scott's Black Rain that came out in '89. And then I became a fan. You know, I was definitely a fan of his. And he did movies like Rain Man and
Rain Man's good. Like with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
You know, like the thing is, you know a film's good when the score makes you remember certain lines of the movie, like The Dark Knight. Like, the film is good. Mm-hmm. It provokes a certain emotion, and you don't even have to hear words. I feel like, just like I was sitting there, I was in film class or whatever, and I was just like, we had to watch all the old films, right? Of course. And, but today I feel like it's like, just because I am of the newer generation, Superman, the original score is great.
Yeah.
John Williams' score is great. But Hans Zimmer is constantly overlooked. I didn't look, I'm not a shill. I didn't like Tenet. I did not like Tenet. Dude, I absolutely hated Tenet. I had so big hopes. I feel like we were all waiting for to see Christopher Nolan's next big project. We were. But I would definitely work for that man. Like the director right now, or Martin Scorsese would be my probably strong number 2. Martin Scorsese, sign me up. Leonardo DiCaprio, I would love to work with you as well.
Me
Cillian
too.
Murphy. Yeah. Did like in Inception, man? I watched that last scene like 1,000 times, over and over, trying to figure out what's going on in their mind, because we've seen that thing spinning. All right, so this is the big question, Rob. So what do you think happened at the end? Is it reality, or is it facts? I mean, like, what happened?
I think the entire film is a dream. I don't think there's any reality as we know it in that movie. And I think, yeah, I don't think there's any reality in the film at all. I think the entire film is Cobb's dream dealing with the guilt and the horrible feelings he has for the loss of his wife. And it's all about him trying to face his children again because he can't reconcile. He blames himself for the death of his wife and for whatever reason, and he's got this, he doesn't want to face his children. And so the whole thing, because if you look at that film, none of it makes any sense. Like this idea that, you know, he can't go back to the United States. And, you know, it's such a weird, everything in that movie. And that's why I love it. Like when they talk about going to Mombasa, and there's that one scene where he's running down the alleyway and the alleyway gets smaller and smaller and smaller and like holds him in. I don't think there's anything in that movie that's real at all. Nothing. Well, and I think we're literally watching his dream from beginning to end. And at the end,
perspective makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of, and a lot of people ask me, no, that's not true. There has to be some reality. But you know, if you look at that movie and you really look at it, you know, in dreams, we don't like know why we get places. There's all these weird things. These scenes will go on like, and it will happen like when Elliot Page, when he's talking to Elliot Page about designing the dream. So you're the architect. What exactly is Elliot doing? And this was before Elliot came out as Elliot, so she was Ellen Page at the time. Now she's transitioned to Elliot. But like you look at these scenes with Elliot Page, what is she doing? You know, they're on those Escher steps, and then they're trying to figure out, well, you have to design. What are you doing? You're the architect? We don't ever see her architecting. She's not making anything. They are at the time, Elliot's not making anything. And when Elliot's not making anything, like what exactly is Elliot supposed to be doing as the architect? Like you're going to build, and you know, you look at this and you're watching this and you're hearing it all. It's all exposition, but you still, as a viewer, I'm like, wait, what are you doing? What's happening? Like we hear about the kick and we hear about all these things, but I really do believe the whole movie is dream logic, and it's to me it's like a great dream that you have from beginning to end. Like anybody could be having that dream, and I think he's dealing with grief and he wants to get back to his kids because there's all these weird ideas. If you look, the actual plot is very nebulous, and it's tricking you into thinking, okay, we're following along these 3 levels of the dream, and there has to be this inception. You have to stop this. None of that matters. None of that matters. It's all just gobbledygook as we follow along this guy dealing with the death of his wife. And I loved it for that. I thought it was great.
Oh, yeah. Great movie.
Well,
I saw that movie 8 times in the theater, and I loved it every single time.
No, but look, the end of the scene, like I watched it 1,000 times, like the Asian dude, when he wakes up, because if you remember, the Asian dude, he comes to same at the last scene, right? Like he dives into the water. And the Asian dude looks at him as surprisal. Like he looks at him, he's surprised. Like, you remember him? Like the dude from like Godzilla? The recent Godzilla, and was it 2019?
Ken Watanabe.
Yeah. So he looks at him, he wakes up. That's the dude he went to save. Looks at him surprised. It's like you see his eye reaction. Whoa. So that's what turns me off. I'm just like, wait a second. Are they alive? So, you know what I mean? It's like, maybe it was a dream sequence the whole time, but I was like, oh my gosh. And then they leave that little thing spinning the whole time. But then when I look, those children in the casting are actually older. They are different children, and they cast them as older. I don't know if they did that to F with us, but I don't know. I mean, it's ambiguous. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I think it's all crazy. It's all crazy. Well,
The whole movie was designed to mess with us.
yes, the whole but I do think that's the reason I was going through something in my own life that it really affected me, and I completely related to that because I was experiencing a bad breakup at the time, and it wasn't a bad breakup; it was just unexpected, and then it was just I was in a bad state when that movie came out. That's why it really spoke to me, and that's why I felt that way about it, because I would have these dreams about this relationship, and it that's why I related to it on that level. But listen, gentlemen, it was great. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No,
I feel like us as human beings want to fix things, and like, no, I struggle with that actually every day as a younger man, and I'm just like, I'm reaching to the point in time, it's just like where, I was like, I need a partner, and I'm just like thinking back, like how I could have fixed things, and it's like really hard for me today. So that's all I wanted to say.
Oh, it's good. Well, I mean, I know, but you're reaching out, you're making films, you're making moves in your life. I mean, all you can do is move forward and be positive and do things. I mean, I always tell people, go out into the world. Star Trek, the message from Star Trek was always to me, boldly go. And that doesn't mean into outer space, it means into your own life. Boldly go and do something. Like, if you've always dreamed of going to France and meeting French chicks, boldly go to France and go meet French chicks. I mean, whatever you want to do, boldly go. And that message, I think, is important. And I think that we as people, we tend to forget that because we get caught up in our own whatever it is. But I once so wherever you live, try this one day. Try this. Say you're going to drive for 2 hours, say 120 miles from wherever you live right now. Look the circumference from wherever you are, north, south, east, and west. Look 120 miles from where you are now, and I'll bet there's a place you've never gone. Small town, a city, someplace. That's 100, which means it's 2 hours away. Now, pick a place. Do some research about it. Like if it's a small town or if it's a larger town, whatever, and pick it. Read up on it. Find some information about it. Like look up a store, find a diner, and drive there. Get a friend, and just go to that place. Like get up at like 6 a.m. Maybe get in the car by 7. You're driving by 7. So at 9 a.m. you're going to arrive in this small town, or this city, or wherever the hell you haven't. 2 hours from you. 2 hours. Everybody lives 2 hours away from someplace they've never been. So go there and go have a breakfast at a diner, walk around the town, go find a bar, just maybe if there's like some orchid festival or something, go to that. And just for the day, just a place you would never go because it's not exactly a tourist or destination location, but it's a place people live and people lead their lives, and just boldly go to some place that's, make it a day trip. It's a Saturday or Sunday. You got nothing to do. Pick a place 120 miles away. So it's like a trip. You're taking a road trip. It's 2 hours there, 2 hours back, and see what's out there. and go and make it a point to talk to people. Like random strangers but not like, hello, sir, can I talk to you? Like when you're at the diner, make some chit chat with the waiter or the waitress, or go to the local pub and talk to the bartender. Maybe strike up a conversation with the people in the bar. Ask them what it's like to live there. Ask them what they do, and see what happens.
Be like, hello there.
Yeah, hello there. That's not what Kylo Ren says, though. That's what Ben Kenobi says.
Everyone gives me crap for it though. Like it's because Rob, last time when I was on here, I was like, Kenobi is my favorite character, not Kylo Ren. So I apologize to the audience. I'm not a very good Kylo Ren. But no, I just like for the Star Wars community, for whoever I met online, whether it's TikTok or YouTube or whatever, everyone when I say hello there knows what I'm talking about.
Of course, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes, they do.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and
Well, can I
that's
just
all I gotta say about that.
can I just point out that today it is now May 25th, which means that today is the 44th anniversary of the opening of Star Wars. Today.
Wow.
Today, Star Wars is 44 years old. It opened on May 25th, 1977. And so we can celebrate that. And on that note, S, do you have anything you want to wrap up with?
Yeah, I told you last time I would show you something.
Oh.
Let me see if I can flip my camera.
Sorry, I can't see him.
Can you see him on? You've disappeared.
Hang on. I need my front-facing camera.
Hold on, let me see.
Or my back
Let me
camera.
turn this up.
Oh, that's my light.
Oh, there's your light. I see it. Look at that. Yeah.
Hopefully it shows up well on the channel.
Oh, look at that. That's my head sculpt. That's me. That's pretty damn good, man. That looks really good.
Yeah, and curved.
Wow. I'm very impressed. That's a pretty great likeness.
I got another one going. I want to do. I don't know if you've seen that Luke Skywalker. Just because a lot of people have been asking for your longer hair.
That is a
So
really...
I'm
I am very impressed by this head
I'm
sculpt.
gonna end up doing something like this to where you can just.
We
pop
can't
off.
see that. Can you scooch that over? Can you move that? Yeah, there we go.
I'm gonna pop off this hair. I'm gonna give you pop off hair so you can have a long one and a short one.
Wow, I can't wait to like do photographs of me in scenes with all of my favorite superheroes and Star Wars characters.
Yeah,
That's really
that's
damn
what I'm
good,
working on
man.
now.
Wow. That's really good. I'm very excited. Do I owe you $250? Can I pay for that on layaway like Sideshow? Can I pre-order that shit?
Yeah, you can pre-order this.
All right, cool. So I'm going to do that. Well, gentlemen, Kylo, S-Beam, I want to say thanks for coming on the Midnighter. And I will talk with you both soon. Good to have you. Thank you. You guys have a good night as well. That was very cool. And that was S-Beam and Kylo Ren. So if anyone... Oh, Catherine's back. Catherine just appeared. Can you hear me? Can you hear? Okay, you're... All right, well, I'll tell you what. First of all, before I've got Alex Montano and Catherine waiting in the wings. Josh LeCount sends in a super chat and says, "Hi, Rob. Is there anything I should know about Amelie before I watch it for the first time? I remember you speaking highly of the film." Well, what you should know about Amelie is it's an incredible movie, but understand that it uses almost every cinematic technique in the book, and it's very whimsical. When you put it on, you have to buy into its brand of whimsy, and it's unbelievably well made. Jean-Pierre Jeunet directed it. He of City of Lost Children he made with Mark Caro, and Delicatessen. He also directed Alien Resurrection, but that shouldn't throw you. Amelie is one of my very favorite movies of all time because I think it's a movie that's all about the joie de vivre of life, and it's very life affirming, and it'll make you tear up. Ross Gecko says, "I request a new R&B show devoted to self-help and encouragement and inspiration. This is a genuine request." Oh my God. I could never position myself in that way, like some self-help guru. All I can do is share my enthusiasm for the things I love. I could never be a Dr. Phil. I have no professional credibility in that area. But I do very much appreciate you saying so. Maybe if I had something more to say to people, all I can do is what I do now. And I mean, I don't know what I would do in terms of how would I structure that? But I appreciate you thinking that I could get away with something like that. It would be fun. I mean, I I've never thought of myself as some kind of a self-help guru, but hey, maybe so. Somebody will have to come up with a clever name, a clever title or something. I don't know what that would be, however. So I'm going to bring back on, we lost Catherine, we got Catherine back, and we've got Alex Montano, who is down in Colombia. So let me get you guys ready and bring you back on to the show. So please welcome back Catherine and Alex in Colombia. Welcome back to the both of you to Midnighter. How are you? Well, Catherine, we know how you are. Alex, how are you? How is Colombia today?
I'm pretty good, Rob. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Now, did you see Army of the Dead on Netflix?
I did.
And what did you think of it?
I did not like it.
Now, why did you? I'm telling you, it's very divisive. So I'm curious, why did you not like Army of the Dead?
I had no expectations, so I was, completely open-minded to watch it. And I don't know, I just felt like it was trying to be new, but it was a rehash of so many things. Like I felt so many similarities with Aliens that they annoyed me.
Right. No, people have been saying that. Aliens, Escape from New York. I mean, he wears his influences on his sleeve.
Yeah, it had some cool things. Like I love when the white tiger kills the guy. I thought that looked cool, but
yeah.
Overall, I didn't think I don't know. I just don't think it's a good zombie movie. I wouldn't even consider it a zombie movie. I don't know.
Well, because they're more like aliens. The zombies are more like I mean, it could have been a Riddick movie almost. Like like Pitch Black or something. It's because they have a civilization, and they're evolving. It doesn't feel right to call them. But my whole thing was the thing that I didn't like. What were they going to evolve into? Like, what did they think they were going to have? Were people going to start working in the casinos? Would the zombies eventually reopen Las Vegas and invite people back in? It didn't seem like the zombies were necessarily that interested in human flesh either. When that one scene where they're walking through the zombies that are dormant, like, well, when the rain comes, they'll get up again. And then they have the zombies that are inside that they could sneak past. Like, wait a minute, don't they want to devour you? How do zombies go into sleep mode? And it was
yeah, you didn't really make it very clear.
No, and you're watching this stuff and you're like, what's happening here? What's happening in this movie? Why is it working out in this particular fashion? It was a little, and they kept adding to that. I'm waiting, okay, you guys are going to go pull this heist. Okay, but then at the same time, we kept taking these detours into this zombie culture, and we're learning more about these zombies as we go in, and that's why I felt like it was made up as it went along. Like, they had no zombie intel. When they go into Vegas, they're like, well, there's zombies there, but the coyote certainly wasn't forthcoming. She's like, well, you need to have a tribute for these smart zombies. She didn't tell them that when they went in for the first time. Like, nobody knew anything about the zombies, and it was like, is anyone in there did someone reconnoiter and figure out, wouldn't they have sent the teams? You see the opening credits, how everybody was sort of ousted from Vegas, the military got trounced, and all these things happened. And you would think that why is it, so they've quarantined Vegas, but why isn't the military still in there slaughtering all the zombies? Why are they just allowing this zombie civilization to exist? And they're like, well, okay, now we're gonna nuke the whole town. Let's just nuke it. That didn't seem, just send guys en masse.
It kind of got to the point where even when I was watching it, I'm like, I'm gonna stop questioning the logic of this and just turn off my brain and enjoy it as a popcorn movie.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt about it. Now, let me ask you this. Zach Losel sends in a super chat and says, hey, Rob, I can't understand the backlash against the Eternals trailer, the teaser. It looks beautiful and sprawling with a stellar cast. As always, l'chaim. Did you did both of you get a chance to see the Eternals trailer that dropped today?
Yeah.
I did. I loved it. I like that. I've been deliberately avoiding all Eternals comics. I don't know anything about them or what they are. And I watched the trailer and I'm like, wow, this is cool because I don't know what the plot of this movie is. It seems
Right.
so different. And so I'm
Same
going
here.
to, I was really excited by it.
Yeah, I loved it too. I mean, I'm a fan of the comics. I'm really excited about how the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be expanding their into the cosmic characters. I loved it. When I saw it, I'm like, wow, this looks like a really straight up science fiction film that has something to say. I'm very surprised by. There's a huge fanboy backlash against Marvel happening right now, and I'm watching it develop online. And it's so interesting to me because, and I guess it's because there were two things I see that really triggered it. One was that WandaVision, all the grandiose theories people have didn't come to pass, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, people I think mistook the idea of the issue of Sam Wilson taking on the mantle of Captain America and tying it in with Isaiah Bradley and the experiments that he had to endure with the super soldier serum, which was all, again, based on a Marvel comic book from almost 20 years ago. And I thought the question of whether a black man could accept and take on the mantle of Captain America was actually, that was a great question to ask. And the conflict between Isaiah and Sam Wilson was terrific. And the fact that Sam chooses, he's like, you know what? I hear what you're saying, but I think the way I see America, despite our problems, I will fight for her. And despite the bad things that have happened in the past, I choose to accept the mantle of Captain America. And the whole series, the 6 episodes, was about him coming to that realization. And I was like, what's not to love about that? I mean, the whole question is about heroism, and Sam Wilson is like, can I fill the shoes of Steve Rogers? Can I do it? And the answer at the end of the day is yes. He wanted me to, and I wasn't ready. And this whole experience about what he was going through was the crucible through which he comes to understand that he must accept the mantle of Captain America. And I was like, this is what great genre entertainment does. In the prism of a superhero action adventure show, it actually had something to say. And people are like, wow, this was not a woke agenda show. This was a question that was dealing with race relations and issues of America's sinful past, the Tuskegee experiments that were performed on real black American soldiers, the idea when black American soldiers came back from World War II fighting for this country, they could not avail themselves of the GI Bill that other soldiers that weren't black could have. And the GI Bill allowed people to go back to school, and it allowed the middle class to form, and that institutions that were serving our population, which helped the middle class grow. Black Americans couldn't do that, and they couldn't build generational wealth, and they didn't get to join the middle class via the GI Bill. And all of this was real. And so this show touched upon that. And for a superhero show, I thought, well, that's how you do, you discuss these questions that are difficult to answer. And I thought the show was very, it asked a lot of, look, the plot was a little wonky in times because they had to restructure it because they were, apparently it was about a global pandemic that they had to downplay that and rejigger the story and change things around to make it not about that. And I thought for the most part, I really enjoyed it. And this fanboy backlash that's happening, it's so interesting to me because if nothing else, you know, for their 2 shows out of the gate, WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier were both very interesting shows. You know, they sort of captured my imagination, and I don't know, how did you both feel about them?
Catherine?
Well, I liked WandaVision because it wants you to repeatedly ask questions throughout the whole thing as to what's going on. And I picked up on enough of the clues in the first 3 episodes that when they got to episode 4 and showed you what was going on outside the Hex, none of it seemed like a surprise to me. It felt like almost like a catch-up episode for the people who maybe didn't pick up on all of those clues. And then I admit it kind of felt like it was unfolding a little slower after that. And when they finally got to the big, reveal at the end, I get that the focus is, of course, going to be on her and Vision as opposed to all these other theories the fans are coming up with. And yeah, I thought Agatha was a little bit one-dimensional and cartoonish, but I still kind of liked it.
Yeah.
And how it's very much, it's like they're taking the relationship between Wanda and Vision that they couldn't really dive into in the movies, and they're really fleshing it out all the way through in this TV series. And that's kind of what I liked about it.
Yeah, me too.
Right, but because it's so like mystery oriented for those first few episodes, I didn't find that it had as much replay value for me. Whereas Falcon Winter Soldier, I agree that the story, the whole core of it is whether or not Sam Wilson's going to take up that shield. And you kind of know that he is, and you get why Bucky has a problem with it, and Bucky has to come to terms with why Sam had a problem with it. But speaking to your point about how Isaiah Bradley had that really strong opinion when he says, no black man could take up that shield, a couple scenes later in the same episode, you have John Walker go to see Lamar's family, and they were talking about how proud they were that their son was serving alongside Captain America. And even Sam's sister, Sarah, says, oh, you're going to let Isaiah get in your head? So it's really neat that you have, on the one hand, this really strong opinion and valid opinion from Isaiah, and you're trying to see how Sam is going to reconcile with that, everything that he's done. Because he is the perfect definition of Captain America from the very beginning when we met him.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. And I think that the shows are, I think that what I see happening in fan circles is that we expect everything that comes down the road to be the end all be all.
Yeah.
And I guess, when I was growing up, I would see everything. I would see anything that had anything at all to do with science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And I was predisposed to liking most everything. I mean, I was discerning. I remember 83 was kind of like a bummer year when movie stuff like Space Hunter, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone came out. And I was looking forward to it. And then I watched it. I'm like, what is this? Michael Ironside is the Overdog and Molly Ringwald is in it. It just wasn't very good. It was like a low rent road warrior, but it was on an alien planet. And but I would go in wanting to love everything. I never would go into something going, oh, this is going to suck. I never thought that. I was like, anything that was science fiction, fantasy, and horror, I'm like, I was there for it. And it would, whether it was great or not, the movie would have to win me over. But I never would.
Right now.
Yeah, and now it's like you look at the Eternals, which was directed by the woman that won the Academy Award for Best Director. Her film won Best Picture. Frances McDormand won Best Actress, and it's like that woman has made a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. And I would think for that alone, and obviously the idea that she was shooting on real locations, you can see it. The film doesn't look like your normal Marvel movie, and you can tell it's got those intercuts with the Eternals in different areas, like the Gemma Chan and Richard Madden when you see them face to face holding each other in those different eras really quick. I'm like that. I'm so there for that. What's not to love about those kinds of things? And I mean, what's it like being an Eternal on Earth for thousands and thousands of years? And now there's a lot of criticism where people are going, well, where were they when Thanos... Well, here's what I don't understand. I don't understand why people don't get the fact that what's happening on Earth with the Avengers, okay, the Chitauri attack, it lasted a few hours at best. They came through in New York, where if the Eternals are scattered all around the planet and they don't, what is this? Hey, did you see this? There's aliens invading New York. Let us go help. Well, the Avengers are there. We can't blow our cover. What are they supposed? What do you expect them to do? I don't expect. If I have a problem here in Pasadena, I don't expect the Long Beach police force to come help me out with my problem here in Pasadena. They're in Long Beach. It's just this idea that, well, what about during World War II? I mean, the Eternals would have to stay out of those kinds of conflicts. They'll help humanity along, but if humanity is going to destroy itself, the Eternals they're not going to step into the middle of a global conflict and say, oh, we're going to stop this. How do you stop it? You've got millions of people involved. What are they supposed to do? Go kill Hitler or talk to Mussolini and go, hey, that Hitler guy's a douche. Maybe you shouldn't throw in the towel with them. But what are they? I mean, this idea. Everyone's like, well, where? They're not going to do that because, I mean, I'm sure they help humanity along. They help, but they're not going to interfere in the course of human history because then humanity will never learn to rely on itself. It's just these criticisms. What I don't understand is why don't you embrace these things? Isn't it cool that we're getting these things?
It seems like people want Marvel to fail now.
Right.
I don't get that. I don't get that. Like, I don't get why, if you love something so much, why you want to see it fail. I don't get it.
No, and I mean, I've taken such joy from the Marvel. I mean, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is literally they're taking their comic books, and they are bringing them to life using the same philosophy that the Marvel comic book universe lived and breathed upon, and became successful in the first place. They're doing that. And I don't know what people expect them to do. They're doing exactly what they set out to do, but you can't translate comics directly, so they're using them for inspiration. I mean, whether it's Thanos, whether it's the Winter Soldier, all of these things came from the pages of the comic books. They're looking into their own history and taking what they can, and I think it's fantastic. I mean, I don't understand what people want. Do you want something that's perfect?
They're kind of taking risks. Like, this looks different than the rest.
Yeah.
Like what they did with WandaVision, with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they're taking different risks. Like, those shows I think that they were more interested in showing us who they are and how superheroes also go through regular life problems, like every one of us. Like when Falcon goes to the bank to ask for a loan and he doesn't get it and he's the Falcon. That's pretty tough.
Yeah.
That's real. That's real. Like, I love that. That's something that people go through every day.
Well, also, and it's like, it's so funny to me because, you know, everyone's like, well, is Tony Stark paying for, like, this idea that people are making these assumptions about things. Like, you know, I don't think the Avengers really necessarily is maybe they're paying you or not, but people have been gone. He was gone for 5 years. And it's like, you're gone for 5 years. We don't even know what the disposition of the Avengers is in the post-Thanos snap universe. We don't know. We haven't seen that yet. And the idea that Sam Wilson's going in there not like, I'm throwing my weight around as an Avenger. I'm here with my sister as a private citizen trying to get a bank loan. And even though the bank officer, like, look, man, I want to give you a loan, but you have no credit. You've been gone for 5 years. You have no credit. I can't help you. I know who you are, but my bank, it doesn't matter that you're the Falcon. You have no credit, so I can't give you a loan. I mean, this is just academic. This is what happens in real life. It would happen to anybody. You don't give somebody a loan. If it's like, if you have no credit, how are you going to pay the loan back? Because what, dead Tony Stark's going to give you a stipend all of a sudden? I mean, I think it's, I thought it was really good. I thought it dealt with a lot of really interesting subject matter, and I dug it.
Are you excited for Loki?
I can't wait. The Time Variance Authority, like, they've made a show about the Time Variance Authority, and they're going to delve into the whole. They know what they're doing. They really know what they're doing. Yeah. Loki being pulled out of time and having to deal with the multiverse and all this. I mean, and the fact that the Time Variance Authority is such a wacky comic book concept, and the fact that they're going to make it work within the confines of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I can't believe that they're doing it. I mean, it looks great. It looks wacky and fun, but the fact that they're going there, they're actually going there. They're going to put the Time Variance Authority is now going to be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Bravo, gentlemen and lady, Victoria Alonso, Louis D'Esposito, and Kevin Feige. The fact that they're doing that at all, like you said, Alex, they're pushing the envelope. They're not resting on their laurels. They're going all in with their comic book concepts. I mean, anything can happen now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I love it. Catherine, are you looking forward to Loki? Oh, Catherine froze
lost her
again.
We lost her.
We lost her. But listen, Alex, is there anything you wanted to bring up? Anything you wanted to say?
Not much. Wanted to talk with you about the Army of the Dead, and you wrote Marvel, so it's fun.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, that's good. I'm glad. Well, listen, I will say goodbye to you both. It's good to have you all the way from Colombia again. It's always good to see you. And
same here, Rob. Great to see you.
Catherine, I'm sorry you froze. But I was... I know. Happy Star Wars anniversary. How cool is that? Star Wars anniversary. 25 years old today. 25 years old. No, it's the 25th, which means it is actually 44. Star Wars is 44 now. Oh, he's been trying to get in. Jeremiah's back. Hello, Jeremiah. I also had Explosive Werewolf there for a minute, but apparently Explosive Werewolf left. We got Jeremiah from Houston. Let me hang on a second. Let me put him in the show. It's good to see you, Jeremiah. I'm going to put you in, and we have room for one more person. So if you want to come in, you can. Let's put Jeremiah in. The planet Houston? No, the planet Earth. That was a little Superman 2 reference. Explosive Werewolf is in here. You are upside down, Explosive Werewolf, but I'm gonna put you in anyway. You are upside down, which is actually kind of cool. I haven't had anybody who's upside down yet on the show. Oh, let's put you in too. Now you're spinning. Yeah, you're sideways. Can you do it one more, a little bit more, like turn it 90 degrees? There you go. There you go. Now you are in. Stabilize that, and we'll move you. Let's see, get you here, and put you in. So, well, hang on. Let me put you in first, and I'll get you in here. So I'm bringing on Jeremiah, who we've met before, all the way from Houston, and we have Explosive Werewolf. So welcome to tonight's Midnighter. Happy Star Wars 44th anniversary or 44th birthday. We know Jeremiah's in Houston. Explosive Werewolf, where are you coming to us from?
I'm coming from Missouri.
Missouri. Where in Missouri?
Columbia, Missouri.
Columbia, Missouri.
It's between St. Louis and Kansas City, 2 hours.
All right.
From...
And what do you do? Are you working? You're a student? What are you doing?
I am a former student. I've been through the college system and all that before. I did general studies and, all that stuff. I'm like you. Like I collected, like pops. Here, I'll show you. Give me a second.
Well, I was going to ask you. You'd consider yourself an imagination connoisseur, then?
Yes, I do.
Yes, sir. All right. And you got a shelf of pop figures. Do you collect a certain brand? Like
I collected the James. I don't know if you can see all these James Bond.
Oh yeah, sure.
There. And then.
Odd Job. There's Odd Job.
I'm a big 007 nerd.
Oh, okay.
I've seen all the movies. I love all the movies and stuff. I mean, it's like one of my favorite go-to franchises when I just want to watch a movie. And then I also collected the Thundercats, some of the Thundercats stuff. And I'm a big Doctor Who fan as well.
Oh, you really are. You've got all the bases covered. So you are an imagination connoisseur.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, Jeremiah, are there franchises? I mean, obviously you're a big comic book fan, but do you also watch Doctor Who? And are there other TV franchises and things that you dig?
I never caught on to Doctor Who, so I lost the whole the female doctor controversy came up. I was lost on it. I got kind of lost in that shuffle. Trying to think of, Star Wars, of course. Star Trek a little bit. It's more my dad's thing.
Yeah.
What else? Not too much I don't watch, really. Try to watch as many movies as I can, many different TV shows. So I'm pretty much watch anything.
Are you a James Bond fan? Have you watched the James Bond franchise movies?
I've enjoyed the most recent, the Daniel Craig duology, not Spectre.
Right. Oh, dude, Spectre.
And not Quantum of Solace. So I've cherry picked Casino Royale, and Skyfall, and that's a series, and then the other two don't exist.
Now, let me ask you, Explosive Werewolf, how did you start watching Bond films? Because I started when I was a little kid. They were on TV.
Well, it was a kid as well. I can remember. I don't know if you remember way back in the day on ABC or whatever. Diamonds Are Forever. I caught it first. In fact, I have an autograph of Sean Connery himself.
Wow. That was, I remember, tonight on the ABC Sunday night movie, Sean Connery is James Bond 007. And Diamonds Are Forever was the one they seemed to air the most.
I'm also a big Godzilla fan.
Oh, nice. But yeah,
I don't know if you can see behind me, but I've got a little, it's a purifier. I can't hear. So great. If I can get up here.
It's hard. I don't. Oh, wait, go down. Yeah, I can see Godzilla's open mouth.
It's
nice.
And then I'm a Star Wars fan because I got Yoda. If you can see that.
Yeah, from Attack of the Clones.
I think that's...
Was that Sith?
Or it's Sith. One of those two.
No, it's Sith because he's jumping around fighting a Palpatine, I think, then.
That was such a good movie. And you know what's funny? Those movies this month had their anniversary as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what else opened yesterday was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade opened. Because Lucasfilm kind of staked out that May. So Jeremiah, we were talking. You had sent in an email about a specific topic you wanted to discuss.
Yeah. I had heard you guys talking before though, and it was an interesting point that y'all brought up about Marvel just kind of becoming the enemy now, or people kind of getting tired of it, and like Nolan said in The Dark Knight, either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. So people just see it in them, even though they're not the villain. They're just doing things that are a little bit more interesting now. So,
yeah, I mean, I feel that, like, I'm a big fan of what they've done, and I think in terms of taking their, I mean, you can't directly translate a comic book to a movie, and I know a lot of people want you have to make it work in a real three-dimensional, real-world sort of a way, from the costumes to the characters. And I feel that one of the things I don't think that even the Marvel Cinematic Universe gets enough credit is I'm always blown away by the costumes, that they're able to recreate the costumes that are redolent of what we see in the books. They might have to make certain changes, but they certainly look like those characters. You never not look at a Marvel character like, that's Thor. That's Captain America. Doctor Strange looks exactly like Doctor Strange in the comics. And it's amazing that they're able to they do such a good job with their costuming and all that. And the fact that they look to the comics for inspiration, as opposed to having people come in and go, well, let me tell you how I would like to rewrite this story. It's pretty amazing what Marvel has done now. And this is the 13th year of the MCU. And
that's real.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. Are you, Explosive Werewolf, are you a Marvel fan as well?
Yes. I grew up. I don't know if you remember all those animated shows they had back on TV. Like Spider-Man animated series, X-Men animated series, all that stuff. I mean, that was my Marvel universe as a kid. And I had the DC stuff as well, like Batman Beyond, Batman animated series, Superman animated series, all that stuff.
Definitely.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm curious, I guess, from the both of you. Jeremiah, first of all, what did you think? Did you watch the Eternals trailer today, and what were your impressions of it?
I didn't watch it because so many people were throwing a hissy fit about it. I just wanted to go in and watch the movie cold with no expectations. But I saw there was a little bit of a tiff online. People were throwing a hissy fit. I mean, just from the still shot I saw, the costumes didn't look quite as bright as usual, to your point. I felt like they were a little bit more subdued in the shots I've seen. So I'm curious why they didn't do a little bit more to embrace the brightness, the comic book side a little bit more. But I'm not going to doubt them. They did Guardians of the Galaxy. Like you said, they picked a director that's clearly very talented. They just finished winning Best Picture. a lot of heavyweights, Salma Hayek, Angelina Jolie. So I mean, I wouldn't doubt it, but it does seem like they're a little shy, or I'm not quite like with Loki. That, to your point, it was a little bit goofier. Owen Wilson was there. They seem a little bit more confident about how that's going to go, even though it is pretty out there. But
Yeah.
it feels like they're willing to embrace how out there it is. And then the Eternals thing seems a little bit somber, and I think it's a tone people are not really familiar with.
Right.
Marvel really presenting to the public. So it's like, Justin Timberlake releasing Man of the Woods. That's not really, he's coming from NSYNC. So it's like, we've never really known you to have this darker, I'm intense and I've gone through things in the woods as a woodsman. So it's kind of a tonal change I think people aren't quite wrapping their heads around.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree. And but I think it's really interesting that the first people seem to be, at least in fan circles, down on Marvel all of a sudden.
They're ready for them to fail. I mean, just like you're down on Kobe Bryant to fail after he's won championships.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you're down on the Golden State Warriors now since they're on top. I mean, it's the way it goes. As you continue to succeed, more people just dislike you.
I know. I find it so odd because Marvel has done nothing but provide, really wonderful entertainment for the last 13 years. And
I think it's DC's time to step up. This is their opportunity. People are tired of Marvel, so I think if they really come with some really good work with Black Adam, Aquaman 2, Wonder Woman 2 makes me a little bit nervous though, because that was terrible.
It was terrible.
Yeah, that was unwatchable. I had to but yeah, if they continue their trend of even though Birds of Prey wasn't that great, it was very like it was very director driven, very bright, very comic book. So
right.
if they continue down that trend, I think they'll be able to compete or at least give people a viable alternative.
Werewolf, are you a DC fan?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I grew up with that stuff. I mean, you gotta say, the last DC movie I saw was Suicide Squad. So I mean, I haven't caught up with all the newer DC stuff yet, but I have HBO Max, so I can watch it whenever.
Right.
All that.
Well, it's just, to me, I want this stuff. I want this stuff to be great. You mm-hmm. want this stuff to be great, and that's. I think that. It's so hard to make movies. I'm always pulling for them. I never think
exactly.
that. I never want a movie to be bad.
I never want someone to fail because it's such an arduous process.
Yeah.
Now, I did want to throw this out there because last time we mentioned, could you make a Godfather 2 level film out of the Marvel stories? And I would say, I think there's a way to contrast maybe what Magneto was doing, coming to America, learning the language, trying to assimilate. You contrast that with maybe Quicksilver in the modern era. You could do that. I think you could do the same thing, kind of embracing what they touched on in Thor 3 about Odin kind of being a warmonger. And then contrasting that with where Thor is in his life, kind of going through a slump. Or even if you move past that to what Jason Aaron was doing with War the God Butcher, which is where it looks like it's going now.
Right.
But kind of showing that King Thor era where he's battling Galactus in the far future. And then contrasting that with Odin's decisions as he tried to put the kingdom together. Silver Surfer, I think if you did like a Terrence Malick, like a Tree of Life kind of approach to what the Silver Surfer first became after he leaves in-law, I think there's room for that to kind of have something a little bit more whimsical, something a little bit more interesting that questions the nature of reality, nature of life. I think there's a few. Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange by Mike Mignola, and I believe it was Roger Stern.
Yeah.
They had a really good story that they put out that was about Doctor Doom trying to get his mom back out of hell. I don't know how much of that they would be able to translate because that's kind of nihilistic. But yeah, I think
I actually have that somewhere here.
Oh yeah, I have it too. It's a great story.
Yeah, it's a great story.
really well painted.
The one story I could see them adapting from the comics, other than the one that they did
That's
with
it.
Endgame and stuff, is I could also see them adapting the Franklin Richards story, his origin and stuff, in the comics. From the comics to the, the son of Sue and Steve. I'm sorry, Sue and Reed Richards.
Yeah, of course. No, I could definitely see something like that happening.
And there are two bigger ones that I think are interesting that they could touch on, which is the death of Captain Marvel, the original one, when he died of cancer.
Yep.
I think that one is, very human, very relatable to your point about the Falcon not being able to get a loan at the bank, something everybody goes through. And then another one, which I'm sure they would never do, but would be great if they had the cojones to tackle it, would be the Kree-Skrull War and tying it into what we're going through in Israel with Palestine right now. So
yeah, I think
those parallels to be drawn.
I would love to see that.
Not like strong arming people, but just as a parable.
No, I think that we might see something like that because they are going to do Secret Invasion. So I obviously the Skrulls are going to have different factions within them, or at least the Skrulls we've already met might not seem as nice as they are.
Exactly.
They might have something. Yeah, and I'll be very curious to see where all that goes. But again, like I would love to see the Kree-Skrull War. I mean, my God, it's such a seminal part of. Again, I've got the hardcover right over there, and it's such a big part of it's a foundational. That conflict was very foundational, especially in the Avengers, the comics. I mean, it resonated throughout the Marvel universe for a very, very long time. And
the X-Men have their little space escapades to the tie into it as well. So yeah, it is integral.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they're going to touch now. They're showing a wackiness. Not that it's wacky, but to embrace the more comic booky stories. I mean, the Multiverse of Madness is probably going to be a little crazy. Who knows what's happening in Spider-Man: No Way Home? But we've got Wanda coming back, and I think that, and then the Time Variance Authority. I mean, these are really heady, out there sci-fi. These are very comic book-esque concepts, and to see them translated.
Can't really come back.
No, I mean, after that, it's so funny. You start with the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Iron Man, and Iron Man is so grounded and so down to earth, the first one.
Right.
It's to watch it after the Infinity Saga, it's like, wow, boy, they've certainly come a long way.
Very subdued compared to where it ended up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like it got away from them though. So I am curious to see if they stick the landing, because Endgame to me was very unwieldy. But I saw what they were going for.
I mean, I really love the two, Infinity War and Endgame. I just think they're so wildly ambitious.
Exactly. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's so much. I think they're just so much fun to watch because they just went for it. They're like, we're going to go for it. And it did feel like reading a big comic book crossover.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, how did you feel about the way the Hulk got handled there? Because I thought we never really got to address the elephant in the room about him and Thanos from the first film.
Yeah, I mean,
they never even mentioned. I don't know. It was kind of odd.
Well, he did. I mean, I know what they were trying to do. That like we expect them to do battle again, like one-on-one, knockdown, drag out battle. But I feel like I know they went in a different direction. People didn't like what they did with Thor, and they didn't like necessarily Professor Hulk.
That was cool. That was fun.
Yeah, I did too. But he does snap it. But Hulk does get to, at one point.
He has his time to shine, to correct everything and wear the gauntlet. Yep.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool, that but it was just a different way to go. It wasn't necessarily the audience pleasing moment that we might have wanted, because I really would like to have seen another knockdown, drag out battle, and that with where it was just like a physical fight like we've never seen before.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever really been able to translate the Hulk strength on screen.
Right.
I don't think they've really done it yet in any film, because they try to keep him kind of contained, I guess, for budgetary reasons.
Yeah.
I think the biggest he's ever gone is in Age of Ultron.
What
No,
is that
no,
you
I
have?
don't.
What is that you have there, Werewolf?
This is like the closest Star Wars thing to a hot toy that I have, I would say.
Oh yeah.
This is Darth Vader. Big,
No.
giant.
Who makes that?
Um, who makes that? I cannot tell. Who? It says made in China, Mattel, Hasbro.
Oh, okay, so yeah, okay, it's regular. That's cool. Well, Darth Vader's 44 years old today, so there you go, celebrating.
That's
I decided whenever the major Star Wars actors died, I would put them on display on the shelf. You know, just to keep memorial. You know, all that cool. You know, just because that's Star Wars is what I grew up with. I'm kind of a Trekkie because I like Next Generation as well. That's my jam too, because my favorite character is Data, probably, because I like the android, all that. I mean, you had Star Wars was what I'm big into Star Wars still.
Sure.
Yeah.
Me too. It's never left.
And when you said the adapting the comic characters, the costumes and stuff, I realized that WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier had their comic characters, their suits. Wanda's suit at the end of WandaVision, the final episode, was comic accurate.
Oh yeah, I mean, and
what it looked like to me is the original.
And translated into the real world. Same with Sam Wilson's the Captain America Falcon costume. I mean, Alex Ross has already painted that. It was right out of an Alex Ross painting.
Definitely.
I mean, I thought it looked great. You know, and that's another thing is that they go back and they don't sit there and go, well, now we're going to have to redesign this thing because we can't admit that we took these designs from comic books. We have to design them for movies, you know, which is the other franchises are like, oh no, we don't have to go back and look at other past episodes of Star Trek. We're going to reinvent them and we're going to make it our Star Trek. And then we get Picard and we get Discovery. Whereas the Marvel Cinematic Universe is not afraid to be like, nope, we're taking all of our inspiration from previously existing comic book material and we're proud of that. And
so is that what's wrong with the new Star Trek? I never got into it. So there's a schism between old Star Trek fans and the new content because it's not reverent to the original material.
Well, I think the real problem is they're not telling Star Trek it's almost a genre unto itself. And Star Trek tells allegorical stories about our world today through the prism of a science fiction action adventure series. And the idea was, within Star Trek, humanity had basically solved all of its problems. We now lived in a utopian civilization.
Post-money.
What's that?
Post-money.
Yeah, post-money, we live in a post-scarcity culture, all that. We basically live in a utopian civilization, and we're now exploring the universe. However, so the idea is that one day, what humanity has strived and aspired to do would come to pass. However, in what we meet out there in space, we find alien civilizations or alien situations, and the aliens themselves are the people that have our problems today. So on one hand, you have the humans in Star Trek are these highly evolved, they're our best selves. And then the situations out there are us, the modern day. It's a reflection of the problems we have in the real world and how they can be solved through our characters. So on one hand, your main characters in Star Trek are very aspirational, and they're all people that we hope we can evolve into one day, and yet all of their adventures are based on solving problems that we have in our world today. And that's why I think that's why I gravitated to Star Trek, because it had great social commentary, and yet at the same time, it was very aspirational. It was very hopeful. Our main characters were not deep and dark and brooding. I mean, they were deep, but they weren't brooding characters. They weren't. We helped each other. You know, we were collectively a group of, well, rather nice people that had sorted out their problems, and now we were moving out into the universe and trying to help and understand others.
So in the new series have characters with too many phobias or foibles or
yeah, I
issues?
think I'll tell you something else. The original Star Trek was also, in my mind, elitist in the sense that it was about the best of us. It was about the people that were the best at their jobs. In order to be part of Starfleet and to be out there on the final frontier, you had to be the top half percentage point of people. You were an example of human excellence. Well, the real problem that I have with modern Star Trek is the main characters are not that. They're like, you know what? We need to make everybody relatable to humanity today. So the elitism, and when I say elitism, I don't say it as a bad thing. I mean, people that were really good at their jobs and capable were the stars of Star Trek. Now, everyone's in a mistaken attempt to make it more relatable to the every person, the audience members. They've tried to make the characters, look, this is you, everyone. Here's somebody that, you know, might be a little bit on the autism spectrum and isn't necessarily great at their job. And I'm like, I watch this and I'm like, look, you know, in the 23rd century, they've explained that medical technology has advanced, that they can fix these problems. So to have somebody, like, I understand you want to show somebody that might be
inclusive.
Yes. And I'm like, look, the world of Starfleet Command is not an inclusive world. It's a world of everybody can be a member of Starfleet. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter if you're an alien. Anybody can join Starfleet. You just have to be the best at what you do because you're out on the final frontier. You need to be, and that was it. The humans have evolved to be this as it's the best we're going to be.
So they overly politically corrected a political show.
Yes, that's
they
exactly
took the wrong components and politicized them.
Yes, that is exactly right.
Working on the allegory component.
That's exactly precisely correct. And I don't think that they really understand that. And also, there's not an original bone in its body. The people that are working on the show, they're not dealing with heady science fiction concepts. Everything is a throwback to, it feels like you're watching something it's all derivative. There's nothing original in modern Star Trek, and it's really disappointing. Because you know, there's a lot of different, you know, Star Trek would do a story about ethics, medical ethics.
Right.
You know, like for instance, but it would be done in a science fictional way. Like for instance, if you wanted to talk about transhumanism, like I'll give you a great example of the difference between then and now. There's an episode of Star Trek that was made 1966 called "What Are Little Girls Made Of?" And in that episode, a doctor, Dr. Corby, has figured out a way to make android bodies for human beings. And you could live in this android body forever. But the thing is, it's not flesh and blood. You wouldn't feel. You know, you wouldn't be a human. You probably wouldn't even feel love. You wouldn't feel emotions the way...
You just exist.
You exist, but you'd be immortal. Well, I've just lost. Maybe it was the point I was going to make. Hopefully we'll get them both back. I don't know why, if that's an internet issue or what, but we just lost Jeremiah and Werewolf. Let's see. Ross Gecko says, we need an RMB Jeremiah show talking comics to film. I don't disagree with you. I'd love to talk with Jeremiah, do a regular show with him, and pick an issue and do a deep dive into that issue. I think that would be a lot of fun. Obviously, Jeremiah really knows his stuff. I don't know why everyone got kicked off. I don't know. But yes, Ross, I mean, Jeremiah obviously knows his stuff. It's always great to stream with him. I'm sorry, you guys, for whatever reason, we lost the stream. I don't know. Catherine, everyone. But on that note, you know what I think we'll do? I think we'll end it there. We'll end the Midnighter there. I've, of course, got to get up and be on the John Campy show in the morning. So I want to thank everybody for being a part of tonight's show. Lot of fun. And this was a lot of fun. So this was Robservations Midnighter episode number 4. I want to thank everybody, all of you imagination connoisseurs that came on the show tonight. Good to see you all. I want to thank my moderating, my panel, all the people on, and my moderators. The Richard and Bunyan Snipe are here. Bunyan Snipe from the UK and the Richard here from America. Thanks for coming on and moderating this show, which is great. Thank you all for being here. Michael Strelitz sends in a super chat and says, Star Trek the original was a piece of normal. People can talk and a show. Wait, hang on a second. Let me read. Star Trek the original was a place of normal. People can talk and a show where in this day women are here. Michael, I don't quite get what you're saying. I kind of get it. But yeah, I mean, I thought what was great about the original Star Trek was, you know, all people served in Starfleet. And that was what they were trying to do. And in the late 60s, actually the mid 60s, in 66, it was almost a political act. And yeah, that's why it endured. That's why it's still there. And it still means a lot to me, obviously. I'm glad that you're a Star Trek fan. I really appreciate that. I want to thank everybody who supports the channel via tips and super chats. You can send me messages. You can send me letters. You can write to me at the Burnettwork.net website. And I would assume if you're going to write me a letter that I can share it live on the air. If you do not want me to share the letter and you just want to send me a personal message, just please write not for air in the subject heading. But you can tell me anything. I can take it. So that was great. This was a lot of fun. So the Richard points out that S-Beam, Catherine, Kylo Ren, Alex Montano, Jeremiah, and Explosive Werewolf were here. And thank you for making tonight's show what it was. And on that note, I will say, remember, every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. And all you have to do is listen. And with that, I would say to all of you, well, it's night, but I'll say, have a better day. And I definitely look forward to coming back tomorrow for Midnighter episode number 5. Thanks a lot.